Hello and welcome into Boilermaker Lounge here on Friday, the off-season edition. I'm Sam Sprunger. As always, Grant, you're back. You're back. We missed you last week. Grant, Flora, how are we?
Yeah, we're doing good. We are officially moved back into Indiana Wesleyan University, which is really, really fun. Just got back from cross-country camp as well, so been a bit of a hectic couple of weeks, but yeah, great to be back. Great to be back in the studio. If you're watching the video stream, you can tell I'm not in my AirPods
If
and
they're
whatnot.
just listening, they're hearing the difference too.
Right, that's true. Yeah, we have the upgraded equipment here of the studio on campus. So, yeah, this just feels great to be back. Feels like we're moving into the fall season, which means we're closer to basketball. We're basically exactly 2 months away from that Kentucky exhibition, roughly.
Little under 2 months. They posted when it was 2 months away that I believe it was the 26th, I think. Maybe. That it was 2 months until the exhibition in Lexington.
Have you seen the ticket prices for that game?
No, but you know what? Those used to be free. You know what I mean? Those used to be games where if you brought like 5 canned goods, you get in for free.
And now I don't think you can get a ticket for cheaper than $300.
That is,
I don't think you can.
That's insane. And the crazy thing is yeah, you want the teams are going to want to win, but they're not worried about the win during that time. They're getting better. They're working on rotation. That's a practice for them.
Yeah, is this like are they partnering with a charity or something? A lot of times it's how they do these exhibitions, or is it just?
I don't know. They like I said, they used to do it right at the really early days. It would be like $5 and it goes towards a charity. Yeah.
I guess how it was, I think, with at least the Arkansas one 2 years ago, if not the Creighton one too.
Right. I'm sure there's something there. But the aftermarket, I'm guessing, isn't sending their proceeds to whatever charity they've agreed to.
Right. So, yeah. But either way, I mean, $300 for Rupp, which is a great venue, but it's also a big venue. So there's just a lot of people are going to show up for that game. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yep. So we have media days in Rosemont at the beginning, the first full week of October. Those are in Rosemont, both the women's and the men's media days early in October. So that to me kind of kicks off the season. They've started practicing by then, I believe. I think they've just started at that point. But like that gets it into gear. Like, okay, we're within striking distance of competitive basketball being played when the media days happen.
Yeah, that's kind of like, it feels like the season is real now. Like we go from preseason to like we're in season, even though we haven't played any games yet. So
yep.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing what happens at those media days. You always get a chance just to talk with the coaches and a few of the athletes, and it's just good to hear from everybody and get everybody all back in one place. And yeah, that'll be a really fun event just to hear those guys. But
yeah, we're tentatively planned to be there too. So hopefully we'll be able to get some chatting with some of the guys that come with Coach Painter. But let's some of the guys coming with Coach Painter. It could be one of the four new guys. I don't know exactly. Normally they have 2 that go sit on the podium, and then they maybe bring 2 or 3 others. So it is possible that maybe Coach Painter brings one of the 4 newcomers with him to those media days. But that's what we're going to kind of kick off the in-depth topics of this week's episode is the newcomer. I put newcomer interviews. They talk to all 4 of the guys that are brand new to the Purdue roster this season, and they basically just hey, we're going to let you get to know these 4 2 transfers from the portal. That's Oscar Clough and Liam Murphy, and then 2 recruits, and I'm going to say Omer Meyer's a recruit, even though he didn't come from a high school. He still was recruited and committed. And then also Antoine West Jr. Grant, you seen these clips? What kind of was the, I don't know, the commonality of each of those guys talking?
Yeah, well, there definitely was a commonality, and really kind of what they talked about was just the family culture of Purdue. Um, it really drew all of them there. Oscar Clough felt like it was the perfect place to go because of that. We've talked about this before, but like he was supposed to visit Iowa State. A lot of people thought he would
Right.
go there, but instead visited Purdue. Loved it so much he basically committed right after that. Omer talked about that. Antoine West had a great quote. He said, "At most places, um, it feels like a business opportunity, right? They're trying to bring you on campus, but like you get the NIL money, they make you this offer, you in exchange provide them with good basketball. Is basically what it comes down to. But he said at Purdue, it feels like a family thing that you're joining. So that was really, really good to see. Obviously, it's not new to us Purdue fans and people that follow Purdue. We've known that they have this great culture for a long time. It's been a huge part of their identity, but to hear those newcomers say that after just being on campus for a month or two, and being so new and yet being able to recognize that right away was really special. But also, you just saw some more individual practice highlights from these
Yeah.
guys,
Yeah.
and I'm telling you, they all look good. Liam Murphy, mainly it's just half speed type stuff like shooting drills. He is not really um, going 100% yet. It doesn't look like. But the other three, Oscar Clough is doing a lot of banging down low and getting rebounds and scoring as well, just doing a lot of good things. Omer Meyer looks really comfortable out there. He's patient. He's running transition, like he's knocking down shots, doing everything we kind of expected. And I'm telling you, Antoine West, just from the highlights we've seen, I don't know if it's the media personnel at Purdue that are editing this stuff together or what,
Doing a
but
fine job.
he looks like he's gonna be. You're gonna have to play him this year. He's just playing that good, in my opinion, both offensively and defensively. So it's gonna be really interesting to see how he fits into that rotation.
Well, and um, we don't know this for sure. I've got two things. Let me talk about Omer Meyer first. You know what I really enjoyed about seeing him talk, his response about being able. It felt like the right place for me to grow, where place for me to better myself at basketball. I mean, he hit all the good talking points, right? Now, I truly think, at least he hasn't given me a reason to think otherwise. He's telling the truth there, right? So that gets me excited, and I posted this. It gets me excited about this year, obviously, because he's going to be part of the team this year. But it also gets me excited for next year, and I'm not looking ahead and forgetting about what's getting ready to happen. But next year, after Braden Smith leaves, this guy is, he came to Purdue for the family. He came, he came, and he's getting a year underneath Braden to see how Coach Painter likes the offense run, and now he gets the keys with an idea of how to run it. My goodness, they could be just as lethal because Omer's 4 inches taller than Braden. He's just as good at, I guess, in potential. I think he chose the correct spot, and it should be pretty darn exciting for Boilermaker fans going forward.
Yeah, for sure. There's a few just points from his interview specifically that were interesting. Um, One, it talked about his like recruitment to Purdue. I don't know how much we've talked about this in the past, but like Braden Smith and Carson Edwards actually both had big roles in that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Edwards was one of the first guys to reach out to him and say, "Hey, Purdue would be a great spot to go." And then Braden even sent a text later that really meant a lot to Omer as like, "Hey, we actually do want you on this team. We see you playing a large role in helping us win a national championship." So those guys just kind of feeding into his recruitment is just both the type of players I think he wants to be. He has the passing ability and the overall feel for the game, kind of that Braden does, or at least the potential to get there. And he has the scoring ability that Carson Edwards does. But then he talked about Matt Painter and teaching them how to play, not
Right.
just how to be robots in the court.
Right.
Scoring, passing, playing without the ball, whatever he needs to do for the team to win. Like, he's the perfect fit for what this Purdue culture always goes after, but also what they need from a skill set standpoint. And so I think you're exactly right. Like, this guy, he's going to be great this year for this team. But right now, the plan, I think, is 2 years. Like,
Yeah.
he works with Braden, learns from Braden this year, hopefully wins a national championship, and then takes the reins next year, where he's going to have all the tools that he needs to succeed as PG1.
And you would like to think that would be more motivation for him to say, "Look, I'm not a downgrade. We didn't take a step back with me taking over. Not that he's better than Braden. It's just, look, I learned from him, and I'm taking over, and we're going to be just as effective. In different ways, but just as effective."
And he is better now as a freshman than Braden was when he was a freshman.
Right.
Which is why
I
it feels
agree.
like he's only got a couple years.
Yeah. I honestly, I've gone down rabbit holes just to see, or various things, and I saw one that was the projected 27, the 27-28 it would be, I guess it would be, lottery, like, rankings or whatever, and Meyer's in that. So I don't know that it's stamped in, absolute, but if he's going to continue getting better, yeah, I think probably 2 and done, and that's okay.
Yeah. Some people, I mean, in all seriousness, he could be 1 and done. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's possible he could get to the point where he wanted to leave and get drafted. He could, but I think even if he is at that point, he's probably going to choose to come back for a second year. But like, he's that good, folks. Like, honestly,
we're not just blowing smoke,
right? And like, when we've talked with Dustin, like, it sounds like we're leaning towards he still will come off the bench as kind of the backup point guard. But there are a lot of people out there that think he's just going to be too good not to start, and he's going to have to play the 2 with Fletch at the 3, and those 3 will all start. And I don't know. I definitely think maybe to start the season it'll be CJ Cox, but I can't say I'd be surprised if Omer works his way into the starting 5 even after the first, couple weeks of the season, just because if he's that good and he's that talented, if you're going to win a national championship, you got to have your best guys on the court. And Omer might provide that extra X factor that'll just take them over the edge to where they become a national championship contender if they weren't already.
Right. And that's the key is Matt Painter is not going to put guys out just because they're good dudes. He wants to reward hard work, but he's also going to put the best 5 out, and then put up the rotation to keep the best 5 out at all times that he can. But ultimately, he's going to start the 5 that he feels best embody, being starters at that point. And you know what? It could be a fluid, we know 3 definite, and then we are pretty positive about 1, and then there's an opening potentially with the Cox and Harris and West and Meyer, all of those guys kind of log jammed battling over 1 spot essentially, because Jacobson and Clough are going to have their battle, and I use the air quotes if you're listening, their battle to try to get the starting position there. So we know that one's not going to but the other 3, there's going to have to be something amazingly drastic happen to where those guys don't start.
Right. Yeah, I don't see a world where they don't start unless they're hurt.
You talk. I wanted to get back to when I told you I had 2 points, and we went with the Meyer part first, and that was about 10 minutes ago, but that's okay. You talked about if West is doing everything that he could be doing, and he He mandates minutes. He could be taking minutes away from somebody that is used to getting a certain amount of minutes. But like Dustin and I talked about last week, the Boilers have at least, well, they have four more than likely starting positions open after this season. So like some of these guys that would consider hitting the portal, well, they're kind of hitting the portal without leaving Purdue because all of a sudden there's this mass exodus of the starting lineup because they have to leave because they've ran out of eligibility. And Purdue's got all of this talent just sitting there going, oh, there are minutes open.
Right. Like theoretically, your starting lineup could be Omer Meyer at the 1, CJ Cox, and Antoine West, and then someone at the 4 like Jack Benter, and then at the 5 Daniel Jacobson, and that's a really good lineup coming.
And don't forget Jakari Harris if he's still around.
Team. Right, Jakari would be like a potential 6-man. You've got Luke Ertl in the mix.
I was going to say Luke Ertl's coming in.
Yeah. You got Burgess still hanging around potentially. I mean, this is assuming nobody transfers out.
Right.
You can't really expect to keep everybody, even at Purdue. But
Dustin and I were talking after this coming season, it would be honestly kind of feasible that they keep everybody because of I believe there are 6 seniors on this roster that they're going to be gone. And now you've got all these minutes that are sitting here now unaccounted for because those 6 guys are gone and aren't able to play them. Now all of a sudden you have this almost like abundance of extra minutes for Matt Painter to go, here's some minutes for you. You know, I mean, granted earned, but like it seems to me that it would be one of those, it'd have to be just unhappy with being in West Lafayette. Not necessarily unhappy with playing time because the playing time's there now.
Yeah, I could see someone like Riley Burgess or even Jack Benter, depending on how his season goes this year. Like, they're going to probably be backup roles next year anyway, at least Burgess. And if you bring in a solid freshman class where it just feels like you have these new guys that are taking up the minutes and the roles, and they're just never going to get into that rotation the way they want to. I could see something like that, but I don't think any of those guys that will be looking at starting spots the following year, like CJ Cox, Antoine West, definitely not Omer, like none of those guys would transfer out. And while you hate to lose guys, I think if you lost a guy like Riley Burgess, like if he wanted to leave, I think you can replace him with someone from the transfer portal, and ultimately you're going to end up being okay. You'd love to.
And mind you, guys, ladies and gentlemen, he's not saying he thinks he's leaving. He's just saying somebody like in the likes of.
Right. Maybe. If something like that were to happen, Purdue would be fine. Right. I think they're going to keep him. I think they want to keep him. I'm not saying they want him to transfer out or anything like that. In the event that it happened, I think they would be fine.
Well, we've kind of got in the world that we live in with college basketball now anyways, it's one of those that you kind of go, well, every year we're kind of just going to get prepared to see who leaves, and we had to see it last year. A couple of guys that we didn't, we enjoyed, they're fan favorites and they're no longer with Purdue. It happens, it doesn't always work out for everybody. So, I anticipate, I could honestly say, I would be shocked if more than one person left the roster after this year in the transfer portal. That's not to say that's not going to happen, or that's going to happen. I'm just saying with the amount of spots that are open and all the it's going to be a tryout essentially. We have an idea, but you guys get to work for your minutes, and if that's what you came to Purdue for, is to work for your playing time, no better time than the 27-28 season to work in and, establish Purdue again after such an awesome senior class moving up.
Yeah, and that's always how Mount Painter has been. Like, he doesn't just hand out roles. The best players will play, right. and we're gonna see that in the early stages of the season. But Yeah, it's going to be really interesting next year. I think a lot though depends what happens this year. Like
Mm-hmm.
some guys were expecting to be good and take leaps and play significant roles on this team, but that doesn't always happen. Like I think we thought Camden Heidi and Miles Colvin would be better last season than what they ended up being. They still had their moments for sure, but I think we expected them to play a bigger role, and they ended up not really stepping into that, and they ended up transferring out. And while I think they could have helped out this team, um, it didn't maybe sting as much as it would have if they had taken the leaps that we expected them to
Right.
take. So we're speculating now, but we still have 30 some odd games to play and a whole season to go
And
through
2
before we
months
really
before
can
that
feel
even
it
takes
out.
place.
Right. Like there is a lot that can happen. Injuries can happen. Like there's still lots of things that will unfold before we really get to that point of who transfers out, who comes in, and whatnot.
I guess that's the biggest thing is let's I totally agree that things are going to play out. We got to enjoy this year. You know what I mean? The one thing that I get excited about next year and the years following, uh, but I often have to remind myself, and I even told you, like, look, I'm not looking past this year. I got to keep reminding myself, hey, we've got a really, really, really great opportunity coming this season. Don't miss that because you're looking beyond just to see what's happening there. Don't get me wrong, keep an eye on that, but because it looks like it's going to be pretty fun, especially with the one commit we have at this point, and I'm sure there will be more. Coach Painter has gotten a couple of recruits with finalized visitation dates and stuff that will be taking place here in the next month or so, and should be seeing some commitments coming down the pike within the next probably 6 to 8 weeks. So hopefully we'll have a better idea of what's coming in after this season. But let's worry about this season now.
Yeah, this is gonna be a really fun season. We've talked about it a lot, but we got options for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on to the Torvik reaction. That's part of the Torvik analysis reaction is the other part of the show title. Grant, I sent you a an article by Dustin Schutte. He wrote about TKR projected as a top 15 scorer in 2025-26. He was one of the top scorers in college basketball last year, and they're actually projecting him to be a pretty effective scorer this year as well, this coming year as well. The Torvik analysis, which the website, I don't even know what exactly it is, barttorvik.com, and you can look on barttorvik.com and get some of this information that we're finding here. But they're projecting Trey Kaufman-Renn to average 17.9 points per game, which would rank 13th nationally if the Torvik projections were all accurate.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough to say what these Purdue guys are going to do because with so many guys that can play and score, and there are going to be nights Trey Kaufman-Renn doesn't need to score 18 points. There's just there are
Right.
going to be those nights.
But there's going to be nights that they need him to score 28.
Right. Yes, but at the same time, I don't see his usage maybe being quite as high as it was
Right.
last year because you have Oscar Clough and you have a better perimeter if you go along with Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer, where maybe they don't need to feed it into him as often. But that's not to say he's not going to be skilled enough to put up 18 a night if he needs to. So yes, I think ultimately he still ends up being their leading scorer. 17.9 probably is roughly where he's going to be because that would be a drop.
It's a little bit of a
year,
drop
I'm
from
not
last
wrong.
year.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Yep. He was just over 20. I think it was 20.1 last year.
Yeah. So I could definitely see something like that happening with him. But definitely these Torvik rankings are very analytics based, a lot of stuff based off of previous stats and trends and whatnot. So you're going to notice as we get deeper into this, some of these projections I think are going to be a little bit false. So they're definitely leaving some things out.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the Purdue projections, they have the 10 projected contributors and stats for Purdue. They're looking at, let's see, the top 12, 11. But Jack Benter isn't on this list. And we know that he will be on the roster unless he leaves the program because he redshirted last year. So he's going to be on the roster this year. But they don't have him worked into that. So, they have Omer Meyer only, excuse me, averaging about 2 points a game, roughly 1.7, I think is what it says there. He's only going to play in about 19% of the minutes throughout the season. I don't know, Grant. That seems a lot light to me.
Yeah, I don't see a world where that happens. I think he's going to play more. I think he averages, maybe it is only 5 or 6 points a game because we know he's kind of like Braden, where, yeah, he can score if he needs to, but he's also going to just pass a ton if he needs to. And with a team like this that has so many weapons, that might be what happens. But he's going to play a lot more than that. And he's just, whether it's points, whether it's assists, like these analytics make it look like he's going to be kind of a non-factor for this team. And that's not going to be the case. I think if he's not starting, he's their sixth man and he's playing still a good 18 to 20 minutes a game.
Well, and then I'm looking and, we're talking about Antoine West Jr. Freshman. We're not expecting him to step in and be, Dylan Harper that Rutgers expected last year. We expect him to be a contributor of sorts. Torvik only has him down for he says about 30% of the season's minutes, 30% roughly, but he's only going to average slightly more than Omer Meyer at 2.5 a game. Again, and you know what? He may be dead on, but it just doesn't seem accurate enough for me when it comes to these players.
No, a lot of it does depend on the minutes for sure, but like you give Antoine West one game where he scores 10 points, like this takes 4 goose eggs before he hits 2 points a game. Like, right. I don't think, I think surely whether it's against some of the weaker opponents in the early part of the season or what, like he's going to get opportunities to play some heavier minutes, even at the end of games. He's going to, it's just not going to happen that way, in my opinion. But at the same time, again, Purdue has so many weapons. Maybe he puts up, 4 goose eggs for every 10-point game or something like that. So not to say it's impossible, but I think they kind of downgraded some of the newcomers or maybe underestimated them, I think is the word, but overestimated some of their guys coming back, or at least, I don't know. I feel like there's a better balance there. Like CJ Cox, they have expected to go almost 11 points a game. It's not that I think that can't happen, but I think it's more likely he scores, say, 7 and Omer's right up there with him, and they're both around 7. That's kind of how I would see that situation.
Yeah, and they've got Jakari Harris at a 6.2 points per game. That's the crazy thing is they've only got Oscar Clough at averaging 4, Daniel Jacobson averaging 3. I'm not saying that and I know these are complete, they're analytically based. They're just based on trends and things like that. That's not to say I think Oscar Clough is going to average 14 points a game, but I just think he's going to have a little bit more of an offensive presence than just a couple of buckets a game, and that's about it. It's saying that they're projecting him to play in almost half the minutes of the season, so it's not like he's not getting on the court. Saying that he's going to average roughly 6.2 rebounds a game. It just with that, and I know he played at South Dakota State last year, which is a low D1 program compared to Purdue, and his opponents are a lot different than what they were at South Dakota State with him coming to Purdue. But it just to me doesn't seem like 4 points is enough, for Oscar Clough, and maybe it's me being just blinded by all the other guys that are going to do so much more potentially. But Oscar Clough, I mean, I can almost point to where I see a little bit more fallacy than I'm like, yeah, I feel that it's dead on.
Yeah, it's just so hard when you have a team as deep as Purdue
That's,
and
I
you
guess,
have
what
a
I'm
couple of
getting
these
at. Yeah.
transfers. Um, Also, like Braden Smith is only projected to average 6.5 assists. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think he's ever averaged that few, maybe his freshman year. Like, this
Right.
guy, and he's going to have so many guys to fire the ball to, and Omer Myers are like 0.8, so it's not like you're making it up with other guys.
Hmm.
And we're not trying to rip these Torvik
Not
projections
at
to
all.
shreds.
They're
It's really
much
cool.
smarter than I am.
Yeah, and it's really cool that they put these things together, but it's more a testament to what these Purdue guys have the ability to do, and to Matt Painter's coaching staff and everything like that. That, like, I think they're gonna find ways to utilize these guys differently than how you would traditionally utilize this type of a team, like
Right.
most coaches. And I think we're seeing like all these trends and stuff point to what you would see on a normal team, normal program in Division I men's college basketball, and that's not the case at Purdue. Um, and so that's why we look at this and we're like, there's just no way this plays out because we know kind of how Matt Painter works and we
Hmm.
follow this program for several years. So not trying to make Bart Torvik sound like he doesn't know what he's doing. But we're
Not at
just
all.
trying to show like this Purdue team, I think, is more talented than people realize, deeper than people realize. And it's just going to be utilized in a way that will be a nightmare for their opponents.
No, I agree, and I think that that was well put, because it sounded like I was just complaining a lot, but like it just
Me
doesn't make
too.
sense. Like the yeah, like you used a formula, you used analytics to break it down and come up with these projections, and it just doesn't compute with me, knowing, like you said, knowing the players that they're, us knowing that the who the players are, gives us a little bit more of a feeling of, yeah, that doesn't seem right. But that's it. It's not that I think he's stupid. He's got to be a pretty intelligent dude, to be able to have all this formula made up. So I'm not at all arguing with that. It just doesn't make sense. Make it make sense, Grant.
Yeah, Liam Murphy is not included on this either. So,
Correct. Yeah, I was
um,
going to say he wasn't on there either.
yeah, but definitely, I, I I think they're looking a lot more at their returning guys. They're not gonna necessarily compute a lot for those newcomers, even like Oscar Clough, even though he's a fifth year or whatever he is, or fourth year senior. He hasn't played at Purdue, so they're not
Mm-hmm.
gonna say he's gonna play a significant role. Omer and Antoine are obviously both at the bottom. The
They're
Raleigh
freshmen.
Burgess is the only one who would average less than those two.
Right.
Um, and Liam Murphy's not even on there. Like they're just not showing a lot of I don't want to say not showing a lot of respect, but they're not counting on much from the newcomers to
Well,
provide for this team.
I sure
But
hope that they just surprise the heck out of Bart Torvik and, just contribute all over the place.
right. Yeah. And I think they will, or at least more than, I mean, we're expecting Oscar Clough to start, and I think he's going to be a rebounding machine. I know, like we said, played at South Dakota State, but the guy is big. Like
Right.
he's big no
You
matter
can't
where
teach
he is
height.
on the court. Right. He's a tall, he's nearly 7 foot tall. He's also just a big, wide guy that's going to be
Yep.
tough to get around. In his newcomer interview, turns out he was a rugby player for a long time. The guy knows how to be physical and how to assert himself. He loves rebounding. Like rebounding is more fun than scoring. Like that's his favorite thing to do in the entire game.
I'm
Like
glad.
right, he's a perfect Purdue player, and that's the stuff that's going to translate more than anything else come Big Ten play. Like you got to know how to be physical. You got to know how to rebound. And yeah, he's going to go up against tougher bigs, but like I don't see him having any trouble having the right mentality and the right
Mm-hmm.
type of game to handle that. And I don't know that there are the Big Ten, about say 4 or 5 years ago, even was a hotbed for really good big men. This year, there are going to be some, but it's not the same way that it was, say, 3, 4 years ago. So I think he's going to be just fine in the Big Ten, and especially playing across from Trey Kaufman-Renn, who's going to have so much pressure. Like, I I get the assertion that he might struggle, but he's in a really good spot to succeed at Purdue.
Well, I think with Clough, I think that's why I think he's going to score more. Is he's such a fighter for rebounds? Well, where's he gonna get most of his rebounds? Right around the hoop. Hopefully, offensively, he's getting putbacks. Hopefully he's averaging 2 or 3 putbacks alone, and let alone pick and rolls and things like that. Designed to where he gets an easy bucket around the hoop. I just I wouldn't be surprised to see him average 10, 11 points a game because of just being able to clean up. I honestly think we could have 4 or 5 guys in double figures, averaging in double figures easily. I think we could.
Yeah, either that or, maybe we have 3 guys in double figures on a given night, but it's like 3 different players every time. So
Yeah,
maybe the averages don't say 10 plus a game for 5 guys, but we have 7 different guys that have reached double figures at different points throughout the
right,
season.
right.
Yeah, either way, it's a
Yeah.
similar type of situation.
Well, it's a good problem to have heading into the next time, Grant, that we get together. The next time we get together, we will be in the month of September, which means that's the final month without any basketball. So we're getting really close, but we're at the end of this week's episode of Boilermaker Lounge. It's been it really has been, and I don't the preseason or the off season isn't over yet with our next visit, but we kind of get in that mode of we're getting there. You know what I mean? So we're kind of wrapping some things up and getting geared up and ready to roll for the season in the month prior to. So that's why I'm so excited for next week to start going, because we're within what, 6 or 7 weeks before we're doing stuff.
Right, yeah. It's going to pick up quick, and it's when it does, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Heck yeah. So thanks so much for joining us this week on Boilermaker Lounge. For Grant Flora, I'm Sam Sprunger. We'll see you next week.